Samsung is leading the innovation game when it comes to smartphones right now. The Galaxy Fold was one of the most innovative smartphones of the past 10 years. Or actually, I'll go as far as say that the Galaxy Fold is the most innovative smartphone since the iPhone came out back in 2007. This was the first actual foldable phone that came from a major smartphone manufacturer, a phone that's technically a tablet and then folds in half into something that's much more portable. And yes, the Huawei Mate X is in many ways even more innovative than Samsung's Galaxy Fold, but that one isn't out just yet. So the Galaxy Fold was and still is one of the most unique phones to ever see the light of day. And Samsung's already working on the second generation Fold, the Fold 2, for a release in 2020, so get us snacks ready, and here's everything we know so far about the Samsung Galaxy Fold 2. Oh, and I just wanted to remind you guys that the Pixel 4 giveaway, this one, and the AirPods Pro giveaway, those are still going. However, the Pixel 4 giveaway ends tomorrow, so just a day left to enter this one, and this one ends in about a week, so I still have about a week to participate in this one. The full details on both in the description, but yeah, long story short, just be a subscriber of the channel, follow on Instagram and on Twitter @ZenOfTech, and leave a comment on this video saying why do you want to win, and also make sure you leave your Twitter and your Instagram handles below so that I know if you've been, a follower. So yeah, good luck to everyone, and let's begin the video. Okay, so the first Galaxy Fold was not a flawless product. It was first teased at Samsung's own developers conference back in November 2018, so basically a year ago, and back then we couldn't really see much. All that Samsung showed us was a phone that had a very small outer display that unfolded on the inside into a larger tablet. But you couldn't really see anything else in terms of the design, for example, since I believe the Fold was in a case, and the scene was also made dark on purpose, so that you couldn't really tell what Samsung's new innovative phone really was. But this was something that was leaked and rumored and hyped so much. Like, we even made videos on the Galaxy Fold back in 2017, or the foldable Galaxy X, that's how it was rumored to be called. And back then our concepts weren't that great, but I think we've evolved quite a bit since then. Anyway, a few months later, and in February 2019, the Fold was officially unveiled by Samsung. Full design, full specs, and shortly after, reviewers have gotten their hands on the Fold, and they found out that it actually broke, like very easily. Since the display was made out of plastic, any dust or debris that got under the display basically killed it off instantly. So there were actually most of the review units broken in about a day or two of use, which is not great. So Samsung canceled the release in order to redesign the Fold, and they have made some tweaks, they've tested it thoroughly, and finally re-released it back in September 2019. So just 2 months ago, and almost a full year since the November 2018 tease. And the reviews have been quite positive now, so that's all awesome. However, you can still literally kill the display with your fingernail, so jerry-rig everything, did a video on that. Since the display was still made out of plastic, but hey, at least it is now more difficult for dust and debris to get under the display, since the protective screen protector layer that a lot of the reviewers ended up removing, that's now attached under the frame of the phone. So far, so good. However, we're now in November 2019, just in time for Samsung's next 2019 Developers Conference, and they actually released this video. A video titled "A New Form Factor for Foldable Smartphones," pretty much pointing at the next thing after the Galaxy Fold. And they do actually start the video itself with the Galaxy Fold, but then they do increase the display size to turn it into what looks to be similar to our Galaxy S11 concept, where we have that really tall 20:9 aspect ratio display and just a central camera cutout. And what's really interesting about this folding phone is that instead of folding horizontally like, the Galaxy Fold does, this one actually folds vertically. And you can probably tell that instead of being a foldable tablet that folds into a phone, this is essentially a regular phone that folds in half, just like those old clamshell phones did back in the OG days of cell phones. Now, this is pretty much a just a weird approach, because I personally find foldable tablets to be way more useful than, clamshell foldable phones. I mean, what would the point of a Galaxy Fold 2 be if it's just a regular smartphone that folds in half? I guess the fact that you can, hang up on phone calls like that, that's pretty cool. But hey, aside from that, a foldable phone is actually worse from a non-foldable phone from a functionality standpoint. And that's because when you fold it in half, yes, you do decrease the height of it by half, but you also increase the thickness of it by twice. So rather than having a long, thin sheet of metal in your pocket, you would have a short and fat piece of metal, and I'm personally not into that. However, it seems like there might just be the market for these types of devices. You guys remember the famous Motorola Razr phone, the Moto Razr, that iconic clamshell smartphone, or sorry, cell phone back in the day that had a color display on the back and an extremely thin form factor for its time at least, and this was, by the way, back in 2004 and 2005. Like, I never had one myself, but I was in middle school back then, and one classmate had one, and I don't know, I was like so interested in it. I always wanted to have a look at that phone. It was amazing. Like, that was one of those things that I always wanted to have and I never had, and like my parents couldn't afford buying me one, so yeah, I never had one. And then just last week, Motorola has actually unveiled the new Moto Razr 2019, which is still a clamshell smartphone, but with a more modern twist to it. So you see now, the Moto Razr V4, this one has a full screen display, and that's also the one that folds now. Pretty nuts when you realize how far we've come since. So there you go. The Moto Razr 2019 is very close to what the Galaxy Fold 2 will be and what the Galaxy Fold 2 will look like. It will be a clamshell style foldable phone rather than a foldable tablet like the Galaxy Fold 1 was. However, I actually do believe that this Fold 2 will not be called Fold 2 but something else instead, like the Fold E or something along those lines. And it's not just the name that would be, something new, it will also be the purpose of it and the whole idea behind it. That's my guess. Mainly because if you look back at Samsung's video, the teaser video, towards the end, they show both the Galaxy Fold 1 and this unreleased phone as well, making me think that it won't be replacing the current Fold, but rather adding onto the lineup. And I do think that this is honestly a great choice. By having two foldable devices, or even more than that if Samsung decides to expand on the lineup even more in the future, customers get even more choice at different price levels as well. We all know that a Galaxy Fold is crazy expensive. At $2,000 or close to £2,000 in the UK, yeah, there's not many people buying this. However, the Fold E, or whatever this new Fold will be called, should start at a much more reasonable price. The Moto Razr 2019 would cost $1,500, still a lot. However, when compared to the $2,000 Galaxy Fold, or even £2,000 that, the Galaxy Fold 1 costs in the UK, close to, well, I don't know, that's still a significant difference in price, and many people might just pick the Moto Razr just because, it's cheaper. So it would make a lot of sense for this Fold E, I'm just going to call it the Fold E for now, to start at $1,500 or so. Now, news website The Bell from South Korea, which had some fairly good track record in the past when it comes to unreleased devices, reports that the Galaxy Fold 2 is currently in development and uses the codename Bloom, and that it will actually be released in April 2020. And this is actually very believable. Like I said, this is how the Galaxy S11 will look like. So same S10 style design, just with a taller 20:9 aspect ratio compared to the current 19:9, and a central punch hole camera cutout. But that's basically it, that's the design. And considering that the Fold that Samsung has teased looks pretty much identical to the S11 leaks, then this could actually be, and this is my theory, this is actually a variant of the S11. The S11 Fold, or something along those lines. I think that's a very plausible scenario. Again, that's my personal prediction, but we'll see if this one turns out to be true or not. Also, the S11 event will be in late February, which will point to a March release for the Galaxy S11. So April for the Fold E/S11 Fold doesn't seem that unlikely, to be honest. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about all this and everything that I mentioned so far? Now, we've actually made our very own concept of the Galaxy Fold 2 based on all the leaks that we've seen and the patents, and this is how it looks like. So we base this off of the Galaxy S11 Plus design that comes with a gigantic 6.9-inch displays. At least this is how it's rumored to come with, and we also have a single camera cutout in the middle. We have a brand new quad camera module on the back, which now adds the brand new 108 megapixel sensor from Samsung, just like the S11 does. And we've modeled this hinge in quite a unique way. Rather than doing it like Samsung has done it with the Galaxy Fold 1, we've done it in a similar way to how Motorola has done it with the 2019 Razr phone, where the mechanism is actually on the inside, and then it's protected and sealed by the rubber hinge on the outside. This means that the phone will still preserve its water and dust resistance, unlike the Fold 1, which lacked both of these. Also, this is actually the same hinge style that Samsung has in one of their Galaxy Fold patents that do show a smartphone that folds vertically. Now, comparing this design to the Moto Razr 2019, the Moto Razr does have a more usable design, as we do have another display on the back on the outside. So yeah, even though it's a very small display, which is just being used for seeing incoming notifications and reading quick messages, at least you do have that. From the looks of it, this version of the Galaxy Fold will not have any display on its back. However, there are a few Samsung patents that do show the display folding both ways, and that would be really cool, like being able to fold the fold on its back and the front, and if you fold it on its back, you would have two mini displays in this case. But again, they wouldn't have any major functionality, for me at least, as I still prefer the idea of a foldable tablet than a foldable clamshell phone. Now, interesting enough, there is a second patent that shows something completely different. This one was found by tech website Let's Go Digital, and it shows what appears to be a foldable Galaxy Tab S rather than a Galaxy Fold 2. We have what looks to be a very big tablet-sized display with a fairly thick frame all around the device, but I generally would pick this over the gigantic side notch that Samsung has on the Galaxy Fold 1. And we also seem to have a large display on the front to go with that. And then we also have two more patents also found by Let's Go Digital that show something similar to the Galaxy Fold 1, just with a thinner notch, an even more massive display in the case of the top one, and by the way, the top one would actually fold vertically compared to the bottom one, which still has mostly the same functionality as the Galaxy Fold 1 does. So, judging by all the patents that you've seen, it seems like Samsung is experimenting with different approaches to folding phones. A foldable Galaxy S11, a foldable Galaxy Tab S, a Galaxy Fold that folds vertically, and possibly even some more form factors that we haven't even seen leaked. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more foldable devices. It's just that I hope, and I really hope, that the industry doesn't start making, just gimmicky foldable phones, like a clamshell phone would be, in my opinion, rather than something truly useful like a foldable tablet would be. But yeah, let me know in the comments your thoughts on foldable devices in general. What do you guys think about a foldable Galaxy Fold 2 that folds vertically? Would you actually use a foldable clamshell phone with a foldable display or not, like the Moto Razr 2019? I don't think I would, but I think it's, one of those really cool party tricks. If you want to learn more about the Galaxy S11, then definitely check out our full Leaks and Rumors, which covers the design, the display, specs, special features, camera, release date, price, battery, and so much more. And don't forget about the AirPods Pro giveaway and the Pixel 4 giveaway, which again ends tomorrow. This one ends tomorrow. This one ends next week. Again, full details in the description box down below. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, hopefully, in-depth video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Zenotech, signing out. Cheers.